All right, thanks for that, Joshua. Well, today, alleged Devilston killer Andrew McGann was in court for a hearing where the former teacher faces 2 capital murder charges in the stabbing deaths of Clinton and Kristen Brink last July. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach was inside the courtroom and shares what was discussed.
On Wednesday morning, Judge Taylor reviewed more than 20 pending motions filed by the defense. The most widely discussed topics were the death penalty as a possible sentence, as well as the gag order in this case. All motions connected to dismissing the death penalty in the upcoming trial for Andrew McGann were dismissed. After hearing arguments from both the defense and the state, Judge Taylor ruled the death penalty will remain a sentencing option if McGann is convicted. Because the death penalty is still on the table, the judge approved a motion from the defense requesting that the court apply a, quote, heightened standard of review and care. Other defense motions accused prosecutor Brandon Carter of violating the gag order in the case by posting campaign videos online where the case was referenced. The defense cited a campaign ad where Carter stood in front of McGann's mugshot and referred to him as a dangerous criminal. Judge Taylor agreed that Carter violated, quote, the spirit of the order by showing McGann's photo, but said Carter speaking publicly about the charges did not violate the order. Carter called the gag order, quote, vague, and said he will not make any further comments to media about the case. The next hearing date is set for late May. No official trial date has been set. In Washington County, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Thanks for that, Claire. Well, former Northwest Arkansas psychiatrist Brian Hyatt was in court this morning as well, facing new federal charges. This is intake video showing Hyatt being booked into jail on those charges. We first told you on Monday that Hyatt and 7 others are accused of an alleged kidnapping and drug scheme that investigators say happened inside a behavioral health unit at Northwest Medical Center. Patients say that they were held through intimidation and coercion. Hyatt also faces more than 200 outstanding lawsuits alleging abuse and misconduct. Today's arraignment will outline the charges and next steps in the case. We'll bring you the latest right here on 5 News. Well, turning now to the latest on the war in Iran. President Trump has announced a primetime address tonight on the conflict. On Tuesday, he said that the war could wrap up in 2 to 3 weeks, but it's not clear what he'll say this evening. Major stock markets were up on Tuesday on optimism that the fighting could end soon. Weijia Jiang spoke with the president about his plans.
We'll be leaving very soon.
President Trump said the U.S. continues to negotiate with Iran, but will soon be done with the war.
I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon. And that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons. But we're finishing the job. And I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days.
In a phone interview, I asked the president if removing the enriched uranium that remains in Iran, a critical component to make a nuclear weapon, is a requirement to declare victory. Trump said, I don't even think about it. That's so deeply buried, it's going to be hard for anybody. Trump said it's possible Iran will make a deal in the coming weeks, but added that is not necessary for the U.S. to end the war.
They're losing. They admit they're losing. They're begging to make a deal.
Earlier Tuesday, the president said reopening the Strait of Hormuz is up to other nations since they depend on Gulf oil far more than the U.S. I'm not a gatekeeper for them, he said in our interview. Countries have to come in and take care of it.
They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with them.
Iranian restrictions in the strait have caused gas prices in the U.S. to spike by almost 35% since the war began.
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon, and they'll become tumbling down.
In a new warning, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps is threatening to attack the Middle East offices of American tech firms Wednesday night if Iranian leaders continue to be targeted by airstrikes. At least 18 companies have been singled out, including Microsoft, Google, and Apple. The president says most of those leaders are already dead. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, the White House.
Well, multiple key races were decided in Arkansas's primary runoff. One race that heated up heading into the runoff, the Washington County judge race. Incumbent Patrick Deakins faced Tim Shepard, with Shepard taking the victory. Shepard is a captain with the Fayetteville Police Department and also served as a volunteer firefighter. He says one of his first priorities as county judge will be taking a close look at county operations.
And to the employees of Washington County, change is coming, and it's going to be a really good thing for them. They're going to have a stable environment and actually have the tools they need for success.
Shepard will now go on to face Democratic challenger Dana DeRee in the November election. Well, you can also find the results and the latest races scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can also have those results texted to you at 479-785-5000, and we'll send you a link to our election page. Also, mail-in ballot laws in Arkansas could be impacted after President Trump signed an executive order on Tuesday requiring states to impose stricter mail-in voting rules. The order tasks Homeland Security to create a list of verified eligible voters in each state. It could also ban the U.S. Postal Service from sending absentee ballots to people who are not on an approved list. Before signing the order, the president gave remarks on his reason for signing it.
It's horrible what's gone on. And it's very clearly covered, very, very clearly. So I think this will help a lot with elections. We'd like to have voter ID. We'd like to have proof of citizenship, and that'll be another subject for another time.
The order will likely face legal troubles before Arkansas has to implement any changes.